man finds a way.
Is the ninth man to hit. 0 for 3 today with 3 strikeouts. Line through the right side, and the Royals have the lead. Marte's in. Lofton scores. Jensen to third. A 5-run 7th inning for the Royals. And Lane Thomas gives his team the lead on the very first pitch he sees. 1 out to get. Popped up. Lofton calls for it. Royals win. Steven Cruz earns his first career save. The Royals sweep the Giants, and it's on a day that Royals fans will remember forever as the day that Salvador Perez tied the franchise record for home runs with 317.
I mean, first of all, when the ball left the bat, it was impressive. I mean, that ball was crushed to that part of the ballpark. Where we were in the game, that was big, you know. And then I'll get a little emotional talking about it, but just what that means to him and to the city and to the organization. I've said it before, like my age, knowing of George as a fan, and anytime you're in that breath.
I always say, I think the most important thing is win, and made that day to me a little bit more special. Super excited. All the sacrifice I do, all the sacrifice my family do, my mom. Where I'm coming from, I never expect that, And my teammate, great organization, Kansas City Royals. So I tend them to give me the opportunity, to sign me when I was 16. So very happy, super excited, Hopefully I got more.
Are you thinking about a home run at that point, these last several at-bats?
The way was the game. I'll be honest with you, I don't think about home run. I don't even know I got it.
Good morning, Kansas City. This is New Day with SSJ on Sports Radio 810 WHB. It's Thursday, July 23rd, 2026. Stephen St. John here in studio. Jake Gutierrez is here. Deebs is no longer a turncoat, so he comes back home. Trader. And again, glad to be back in studio. Back in studio today, tomorrow, and Monday, and then I'll be gone for a week in St. Joe, covering training camp, going to practice. And so every day that there's practice, I'll only be on the show until about 7:30 or so. Even though Lebo always, 7:45. Okay. You let me worry about that, Todd. I know what it takes. I know what it takes to hit that circuit of Stony Creek to run over to Mo West to get my credentials, get my wristband. Because you can't go straight to practice, Jake. You know that. You have to go check in the media department, get your special wristband for the day, and then go park your car. And can't go right to practice again. You could walk, but they offer you a golf cart to take you around the back way, which I readily accept. And then they take you right up to the media tent where you watch practice. And then afterwards do interviews. So I'll only be on the show part-time from St. Joseph, Missouri. Always got to carve out 5 minutes to stop by the chuck wagon, But looking forward to that most all next week into the following week. As players start reporting tomorrow, hey, quarterbacks and rookies and some injured players reporting to Scanlon Hall in St. Joseph, Missouri at Missouri Western State University. To talk football, we have Joe Valerio on at 6:30. Former Chiefs offensive lineman. It'll be good to talk to Joe again. And then we talked to Buster only yesterday, and so no Buster today. Adam Kaplan will be back on the show at 7:30 today. Then we'll have Gary Dieter in studio. Anthony Sherman is still coaching football. Have you made any contact with him? Have you had any communication with him about the future of his role on this show?
Yeah, a little bit. It's been group text mostly. He said he can come in Thursday next week to make it easier for me.
What's that mean?
Because Garrick said he needed to do Friday next week. I said, guys,
Where would he?
Steve was going to be up at training camp, and then that blew the whole conversation up.
Where would Gary fit in on a Friday?
He wouldn't. I said, that's what I told him. I said, Friday's full. I don't think I can fit that in.
Yeah, there's no room at the inn.
And then that's why Sherman said, to make it easier on you, Iceman,
Oh.
I'll be in on Thursday.
Okay.
So he'll be in here next week. You won't be, but he will be.
Okay.
And you probably won't even be on the show because you'll probably be covering
Right.
practice Thursday.
Right.
So
Man's got to do. I got to find out for sure. I think practice at 9:15, so I think I will be there partially.
there you go.
If practice is at 9:15, I don't like rolling in there late, man. I like to get there and see everyone, warming up, stretching to see who's good at practice, who's not. Got to get your bearings, man. I hate being late. So 9:15 practice, probably 8:15, 8:20. Leave. You have to leave till 8:45. Todd?
I think you just need to do what Todd says.
No, I do not. When it comes to St. Joe, I do what I say. I'll handle it.
Todd's the boss.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do what he says.
So we'll have Gary Dieter in studio and then Jesse Newell from The Athletic. All right, football's here tomorrow. And yesterday was a heck of a day out at Kauffman Stadium for the Royals and for Salvador Perez. The Royals won again. Look, I'm not going to fight it. This was unbelievably predictable. We knew this was going to happen. We knew that at some point, right before the trade deadline, whether it was 3 weeks before, 2 weeks before, a week before, or just right up to it, they were going to get hot. They were going to go on a hot stretch. Now we just it's got a heat check. Now we got to find out how hot. But the amazing thing is now, if they continue this, it's going to be without Bobby Wood Jr., at least for a while, because he's on the IL for the first time ever. They still don't have Michael Garcia. The pitching staff, the rotation, has been ravaged by injury, but other players are stepping up. And so they're winning, man. San Francisco is a disaster, so keep that in mind. But look, you can only beat who you play, and they took 2 out of 3 against San Diego, and they are not a disaster. And then they swept San Francisco. So, I mean, what else you want? It is what it is. It's better when the Royals win. You just wish they would have done this when it mattered more a month ago or so. But they sweep the Giants. They win 5-4. Seth Lugo pitches pretty well. Ends up 7 innings, 3 hits, 3 runs, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. You'll take that every time. Daniel Lynch, perhaps auditioning for a team looking for a lefty reliever, pitches a clean inning, shaves that ERA down to 213, only 11 pitches for his inning of work, and gets his 12th hold of the year. Boy, does that sound like a real nice reliever that a contending team should give up too much for. Just my opinion. And then Steven Cruz gets his first save. Despite giving up a home run, he gives up his first save, or gets his first save. And you look, hey, he's got some life in his arm. Hey, you're looking for a guy that's got some stuff. If you're a contending team, you might want to check under the hood of Steven Cruz. Just saying. Not trying to push anything, just letting you know. But the Royals win 5-4. And the highlight, the main event, the headline, Salvador Perez hits home run number 14 in the 7th inning. And it was an historical home run because that ties him with George Brett for the most home runs in Royals history. And look, I need you to understand where I'm coming from here. That's awesome. You know, how could you not love Salvi? If you're a Royals fan, you love Salvi. How could you not? I mean, really, if you're a baseball fan, you should love Salvi. His enthusiasm, the joy he brings to the game, smile on his face all the time, the way he plays the game, just a long list of boxes you could check off of reasons why he's been great for Kansas City and great for baseball. And I think deserves to be a Hall of Famer, he's a future Hall of Famer, in my opinion. And I'm not going to argue about that. Some people feel like no way. Some people feel maybe. I feel yes. He should be in the Hall of Fame someday. But man, it's just, you know, can I say it's bittersweet? Is that going to get me in trouble? Because I've never, and you also have to understand this, I'm talking about me as a kid, okay? I've never loved an athlete more than I loved George Brett when I was a kid. And nothing like, even as much as I love Patrick Mahomes, is different because supposedly I'm a man. I am weird about it. Boy, do I love Patrick Mahomes. But
yeah, you're a grown-ass man.
Yeah, they say. But I still have a boyish love of Patrick Mahomes, you know. Just, hey.
Sure. It's different.
But, I mean,
boyhood heroes are different.
He was my first favorite athlete.
And look,
well,
when you're in this industry, things get your perspective changes.
You know what? I've tried not to let that happen.
It's true, but
and I've had people
not to have
right.
It happen.
But yes, and sometimes you don't want to know much about the athletes that you like.
I'm not saying it
but I can tell you that has not affected anything about Patrick Mahomes. The more I've ever found out about Patrick Mahomes, the more I've liked him.
Sure.
So let me say that.
But I'm just saying, when you're a kid, you're around professional athletes.
My first,
it's different.
Favorite athlete, my first one was probably Muhammad Ali. Because I mean, I was born right into a boxing-loving family. Between my grandfather, who fought long ago, would that have been in the 20s and 30s? Yeah. And he was a boxing coach for a while. My dad loved boxing. My mom loved boxing. My uncles loved boxing. And so it was, and Muhammad Ali was at that point coming to the end of a great career. But I still have memories of watching a fight. I mean, I was a little kid on closed circuit, going with my dad to see Ali. I actually told him, after I stood in line for 3 hours, I told him that story, and he signed a book for me, and it was awesome. Anyway, I digress. But like George Brett. And for anyone of my age, I'm 53. If you were growing up in the 70s, I mean, that was it. The Royals, that was, the Chiefs just didn't really register too much in the late 70s. But man, the Royals did. I'm born in 72. So you got to think, when I'm 4 and 5 years old, and I was a weird kid. I'm reading the newspaper when I'm 4 and 5 years old and paying attention to stats and being goofy, a little nerd. You little nerd. Going outside, nerd. But I just, George Brett this, George Brett that. Like all of us that grew up in that time, and watching them make the playoffs in 76, 77, 78, 80, finally be the Yankees in 80, then lose in the strike-shortened playoffs in 81, lose to the Tigers in 84, but then finally win it all in 85, and, watch them ultimately win batting titles in 3 decades and 3,000 hits and Hall of Fame career and everything like that. And so, like, you want your heroes, or you want your idols or favorite athletes, you want their records to stand forever. Or at least I do. I did.
Go outside, nerd.
But you couldn't pick a better player to tie George Brett. You couldn't pick a better player to ultimately surpass him for most home runs in Royals history. But it's just, you're like, damn, I wanted that to stick. And I knew it wasn't. But then for a while, I'm thinking, you know what? Is anyone going to be here long enough? Is anyone going to stay in Kansas City long enough to beat it? And then Salvi did. And you wonder who's next? Bobby? Will Bobby stay long enough? Will he have a chance to do it? That's a long ways down the road. But Salvi did it, and it's awesome. But just, little Steven somewhere is sad. That sounds weird. You know what I mean?
Give him a big hug. Yeah, I know what you mean.
It's just...
Yeah, it's bittersweet. Bittersweet's the right word. Because it needs that. It needs to happen.
Even George said last month he doesn't want his records broken.
No, but I mean, he can't hold all of them forever.
Yes, he can. Nobody will ever have more hits than him for
right.
a Royal.
That
so
was,
he can hold that one forever.
Forever, absolutely.
He's holding that one forever.
I said all of them.
Yeah.
All of them forever. I mean,
he deserves to have all of them.
He can have most of them.
But it's great that Salvi's the one that gets it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Salvi, he earned that. I think it's great. Bittersweet, yeah, but great. And hopefully, Bobby sticks around and he breaks it.
Brett said last month, I don't want any of my records to be broken, to be honest with you. That's right. That's the right answer. But he's a home run hitter. That record is going to be broken. There's no doubt in my mind. It just means that he's been here for a long time. He's been a very productive player. And if anybody was going to break it, I'm glad it's him. There you go. And I thought it was really cool that it happened in a win. That the Royals won. In a season with so many losses, it happened when they beat the Giants. They swept the Giants. And I don't have...
And it happened at Kauffman.
Right. I don't have great memories of Salvi up at the plate against the Giants at Kauffman Stadium. I try to erase those, but now
send them home.
That at-bat in my mind, can be erased by this home run at-bat that ties him with George Brett. And then the next one will break it. So, and you're right, I'm glad that he tied it at Kauffman Stadium. So, congratulations to Salvador Perez. We'll play his post-game and also his on-the-field interview. We'll do that in the 7 o'clock hour. But up next, we'll say hello to our old friend Joe Valerio after this. Congrats, Salvi, on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Welcome back to New Day with SSJ on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Good Thursday morning to you. Right now, let's say hello to good friend of the show, former Chiefs offensive lineman Joe Valerio. Joe, good morning. How are you?
Steven, good morning, buddy. How are you, man? I'm ready tomorrow, reporting to camp. QBs and rookies. Here we go.
Oh, yeah, I'll be up there. I'm checking in to the hotel on Tuesday, and then I'll be there for a week covering practice. So I am ready. And as you said, quarterbacks and rookies and some injured players will check in tomorrow and get things started. They'll have 4 practices before the full roster gets there. And so how excited are you for all of the football to return? We had World Cup. Did you get in that? Did you get fired up for the World Cup?
Man, was I into it? Like I'm a big soccer fan, big international football fan. I follow Arsenal and Liverpool because my son-in-laws we're all in the Arsenal and Liverpool clubs of Philadelphia. So
Joe,
you just made Jake mad.
Oh man.
Why Chelsea? Where you at?
Yeah, I'm a Man U guy.
Okay, all right. They had a good run. They had a good run over the years. They've had their share.
Yeah.
No, it's a lot of fun.
I would root for Arsenal more than Liverpool.
Yeah. They're it's tough in my house. So there's enough for me to go around with my son-in-law. So I can do it. But it was a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed the competitions. Listen. Not just because we're talking and got a lot of KC listeners on right now. Dude, KC stood up. I mean, they showed up. I mean, for what everybody had been saying about the smallest TV market to have been hosting some World Cup stuff and games. Like, my gosh, did they do it right? And I'm just so proud of the city for what they did. And it's not that small market, big market should really matter when it comes to the fandom and being able to take things on. But, considering that, with some of the, just the general resources that you have available, right? When you're a smaller, air quote, smaller city, unbelievable, right? The experiences I've heard people have had in Kansas City from the World Cup were amazing. They should have been, looking back on it, they should have been where they had the final game.
No kidding. It would have been better.
Yeah.
No, but it was, I was lucky enough to be involved in FIFA Fan Festival and a bunch of different events around the World Cup, and it was wild, man. This town went crazy.
Well, it hit a perfect time for Chiefs fans because all the news and the signings and everything really did slow down. This part of the summer, so it really did fill a nice gap getting ready for tomorrow for the opening of training camp because there was a lot. It was a big off season. There was a lot of news, a lot of things going on. Travis and Taylor getting married,
what?
Patrick dealing with his surgery. Yeah. Did you guys hear? Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift got married.
Something vaguely in the news. I don't know.
But no, it was a perfect gap filler for what is going to be, I think, an amazing NFL season, and I'm super pumped about seeing what the Chiefs do with this roster, and especially my biggest excitement is coming through the running game and what Kenneth Walker can do. I'm really excited to see Chiefs bring back the prominence of a running game within their offensive scheme.
All right, let's talk about a dumb article that made me mad yesterday. On that note, I was reading all these NFL previews and different NFL pundits that are closing the door on the Chiefs and predicting they will not make the playoffs again this year. One of them is Connor Orr of Sports Illustrated, and he wrote an article called The A-List, and he listed 14 teams that have a chance to win the Super Bowl this year, and the Chiefs are not one of those 14 teams. And so he writes, as the article begins, he said there's 3 teams that he's going to have to address that he left off the list: the Bengals, the Eagles, and the Chiefs. And so I'm going to read to you what he said about the Chiefs, why he didn't pick them as one of the 14, and I want you to tell me if he's if you agree or if he's off base or whatever you think. He said, the Chiefs have unquestionably one of the two best quarterbacks in the NFL. They may very well win 11 or 12 games this season, but I don't see how they can simply replace the losses of Jalen Watson and Trent McDuffie while also running back essentially the same version of the offensive line for another year, especially if the team's most significant offensive upgrade was at the running back position. Again, I want to be as open as possible when it comes to the Chiefs in particular, as it may look like a troll of some kind to leave them off the list. As I said earlier, I believe the story of the 26th season is going to be told through versatile defensive fronts and offenses that are set up to create consistent, explosive plays in the running game. But their lead tight end will turn 37 in October. Noah Gray left something to be desired as a run blocker. The addition of Kenneth Walker isn't going to simply change the complexion of Kansas City's offense. And even when Eric Bieniemy was previously the Chiefs OC, there was a failed attempt to create a more diverse downhill running scheme to protect Patrick Mahomes. Okay, here we go. When Bieniemy was last OC, they didn't have a guy like Kenneth Walker. And I disagree. Kenneth Walker is going to change the complexion of Kansas City's offense because it's such a massive upgrade between a couple of running backs who I respect them, Isaiah Pacheco, Kareem Hunt, thank you for your service, but they were not good. They may have been the worst tandem of starting running backs in the NFL last year. If you look at yards they could have picked up versus yards that they did pick up, and just their inability to have zero explosive plays. Really, I mean, Kareem Hunt had one, and Pacheco had none. I don't like. It's like he's talking in circles. Like he doesn't. How do you replace Jalen Watson and Trent McDuffie? Well, I don't know. Move up to number 6 and take a corner. And you have Noah Williams who's developing into a starting corner. They have the guys. You see the plan. It's almost somewhat lazy analysis here that I think he's putting out there. And then another thing I wanted to ask you about. He says you're running out there essentially the same version of this offensive line for another year. So many people talk about this offensive line like it's a weakness of this team. And I get it. Right tackle is kind of iffy right now. But my God, Trey Smith, Creed Humphrey, Suamataia, and what I think Josh Simmons is going to turn into this year, I look at that as a strength. And they talk about it like it's a weakness. I don't know. There were so many things that I disagreed with. I had to read that to you and find out if I'm crazy or he's crazy.
No, he's crazy, Stephen. He's crazy, and I think I think he's falling into the classic hater camp of hating a team that has done so well, and they're just ready for them to not be well anymore, right? Like I think that's where he's coming from, and not to be overly critical of his sort of analysis, but to be critical of it. I think he's just looking at how do you before the preseason, before the camp even starts, how do you write off a team that has been a dominant team? And I think he's just looking for that angle, right? He's just looking for things and trying to find within some of the news that's happened this year ways and that he can keep them off of that list. I mean, come on, let's go through it. He's Patrick Mahomes, injury or no injury. Look at Tom Brady came back from injury and won all of his Super Bowls. And Patrick Mahomes is the kind of quarterback that's going to work. And let me tell you something about the running back position. I think back to the difference between the 91 season and the 93 season, or the 91 and 92 seasons and the 93 season. Okay, I know that's a long time ago. Okay, leather face masks or leather helmets and no face masks, right?
Oh yeah.
But like, we didn't have a running game, even though we were a running team. We had an incredible line, right? I mean, I think back to those guys that I got a chance to mentor under, Grunny and Zotter, their rookie years, younger years, and then, John Alt, Dave Lutz, Rich Baldinger. I mean, that line was solid. And we didn't really have a whole lot to do in the running game. I mean, God bless him. Christian was at the end of his career. We couldn't get a thing going with Harvey Williams and Greg Hill. Then all of a sudden, Marcus Allen gets there, right? And look, even though he was at the end of his career, which Kenneth Walker is not, I'm not trying to compare the two from like that perspective, but just from the status of having a running back like that, it changed everything, right? It changed everything. We go to the West Coast offense, Montana comes in, and next thing you know, we go to the AFC Championship, right? So it's like that's really what Kenneth Walker's going to do. He is going to bring so much confidence to that offensive line. It's going to take so much pressure off of them in the passing game that it's probably the thing I'm most excited about. Of course, I'm going to be most excited about watching the offensive line play because that's my favorite. But like I am so excited to see the impact that he has on this team and what it does for the offensive line and how those guys really gel together and find that confidence that they need to know if they need 3, 4, 5 yards, they're getting 3, 4, 5 yards with Kenneth Walker. He's going to break some, and then it's going to take all that pressure off of them in the passing game and the ability to keep people off of Patrick Mahomes. So I think the only thing, and I just to be a little bit of devil's advocate, the only thing that does get me when it comes to the offensive line, I think the front five solid. I mean, you're never going to have 4 or 5 Creed Humphreys and Trey Smiths. It's just the way the cap works these days. You just don't have it. So you have to build around 2, maybe if you're lucky, 3 linemen that are all pro type, right? But you got guys that are developing, and I'm going to go all in on Jalen Moore at right tackle. I think he can do it. The thing that does get me though, Stephen, is depth. What's probably keeping a lot of people up at night. Eric Bieniemy, Andy Reid, Andy Heck. An offensive line coach, like it's got to be the depth of that group. That if they lost 1, 2 of those guys, like what happens after that? That would be, just to be devil's advocate. That is my one concern about it. But from a starting 5 perspective, I'm all in on that offensive line. So I and then you get over to the defense. Obviously, we could talk about that for another whole show. But I think he's just looking for ways to knock a peg off of a team that everybody seems to want to do that because they've been so darn good in the last 7, 8, 10 years.
Right, so Joe Valerio is our guest. Joe, from the perspective of an offensive lineman, like last year, as I mentioned, you had Kareem Hunt, who still great field vision, a smart running back, but just didn't have that explosiveness, didn't have that speed. Where we'd sit up in the press box, we'd watch it, he'd see the hole, but he couldn't get there enough, quick enough, or it would just close up. And if 4 or 5 yards were there to be gained, he'd gain you 4 or 5 yards, but it wasn't always going to be too much more, right? Mm-hmm. And then Pacheco, he was quicker, but boy, it's like I don't know what happened after the injury to his field vision. And there were times where he went the wrong way, or he'd run right up the back of the offensive lineman, or he wouldn't see the hole. And that has to be frustrating for an offensive lineman when you do your job, you block your guy, you guys execute, but you don't pick up the yards that are there. And just going to Kenneth Walker, who, like you said, is going to pick up those yards, but on top of that, now they have a guy who every once in a while will turn the 5 or 6 yard gain into the 15 or 16 yard gain, or even a 25 or 30 yard gain. They simply did not have that. And for an offensive lineman, how much does that help your psyche and, like you said, your confidence when you have a guy out there, you do your job, and hey, you just picked up 25 yards. You don't have to nickel and dime it all the way down the field. You've got a guy who, if he makes one guy miss, he's going to take it to the next level. And just that sheer threat of explosiveness and a guy that's going to pick up the yards are there, that's got to help the mindset of an offensive lineman.
Oh, it's everything. It's everything to an offensive lineman. You couple that with the confidence that they have in Patrick, that he's going to elude pass rushers. It's the same thing. Right? Even if you do happen to not get the right mesh double team, or you miss a block, like Kenneth Walker can make people miss too. So you go into a game feeling like you don't have to be perfect. If you just give Kenneth Walker enough, it's almost as if in a weird kind of a way, if you smashed Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco together, right? You get somebody who runs hard, he's durable, and he also has those quicks and the vision to get to find that small hole even and make some yards. So he brings like the total package to what the Chiefs need. And here's where I think it takes it to the next level. If it's 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, right, and you're getting into sort of like maybe even 4 down territory, or you're even close to the 50-yard line. I would never I guess you could run the ball on 3rd and 5 on your own 20, but like, I don't know how many coaches would. But like, I think it gives them another couple of pages in the playbook that if they get 3rd and 4, they don't always have to pass now. Right? Where I think they didn't have the confidence in a Kareem Hunt or an Isaiah Pacheco, Andy didn't at least, to run the ball in those what I would call longer 2nd down, longer 3rd down situations. So I think it gives the offensive line to be like, hey, let's run this thing. Let's just keep pounding them. Let's keep pounding them, even if it's 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5. Like, they don't always have to go to the pass. So that's my, in the locker room, Dave Lutz, our offensive guard, used to have a thing he called it the black box statement. And if you made a statement during the season that was sort of predictive, you said, oh, got to put that in the black box. So you had to like write it down, and he'd keep a record of all the things, and we'd look at it at the end of the season, right? Like, if you said something like, oh, I think so-and-so is going to rush for 1,000 yards. Oh, black box statement, right? You put it in. So that's my black box statement for going into training camp, is you're going to see this team running the ball a lot more in situations where you might not see them run the ball or haven't seen them run the ball in the past, because they didn't have the confidence in a running back like a Kenneth Walker. And I think that's going to bolster everybody. It's going to make Patrick play better. It's going to open up things in the passing game. It's going to make the line play better. So I think that's what you're going to see with a guy like Kenneth Walker in the backfield is running the ball in situations where they may not have run it in the past.
That's a good point. I think it's going to be very exciting to see how they utilize Kenneth Walker. And man, the people that are underestimating what he means to this offense, I think are getting it wrong, because it's such a dramatic upgrade. It's exactly what this team needs at this time with Patrick Mahomes coming back from injury. I think he's going to be have a massive impact. And look, I don't know. I don't think. Look, they're going to use DeMarcado. They're going to use other running backs. But, I mean, if he stays healthy, 1,300 yards, I don't think that's out of the question. It'd be nice to see the Chiefs have a stud running back like that again.
Yeah, it's for an offensive lineman, it's everything, right? Because it's pass blocking is probably on the field, short of rushing the passer, which is probably one of the hardest, most physical things to do. Give my defensive line friends some credit. But pass blocking is probably one of the toughest things to do on the field. And then, not just because I played line and, hanging out there with my buddies, but like, it's just, you're going backwards. You don't always know where the quarterback is. You can't, you can, if you know how to not get caught, you can hold and grab, but technically you can grab underneath if you're inside, but you can't like lock onto somebody, right? Like the way that a defensive lineman can use their hands. And, it's pure technique and combined with a physical skill that you have to have, and a mental, like you have to do physics. I mean, the physics of playing offensive line about cutting angles down while a 300-pound guy who runs a 4.4 is coming at you, right? And can he bull rush? Can he slap your hands? Can he do a button roll? Can he dip his shoulder? Like, you have to calculate all that stuff. It's almost like being a batter in a baseball game, a Major League Baseball game. Curveballs, sliders, fastballs coming at you from 60 feet away, 100 miles an hour, right? Like, you have to make calculations in your mind so fast. So to be able to have to do that 50, 55, 45 times a game when you don't have the ability to go forward in a running game, it's a lot of pressure, Stephen. It's a lot of wear and tear. So I think, and I know that's like a very tactical way to approach it, but I just feel like that's what's going to give this offensive line that much more confidence, is that they can spend more time going forward. So much easier to run block, right? Just be physical, get after it. You still got a lot of technique, but you just want to get together, get your hips together with your buddy and just smash into somebody. Man, if they can do that more and more, it's only going to make this offensive line play better and not have to worry about protecting Patrick at every turn.
My man, Joe Valerio, before we let you go, tell people about the podcast and where they can hear you.
Yeah, Believe in Chiefs, BLEAB, with my buddy Jeff Fedotin, who writes for Forbes Magazine. Got to check out his articles. They're awesome. At Joe Valerio 73, so follow along social media.
Looking forward to talking football with you all season long, my friend.
Same here, Stephen. So excited.
Let's
Talk to you
get it.
soon, bud. Have a great one.
That's Joe Valerio, former Chiefs offensive lineman and regular guest right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Here's Salvador Perez. Salvi hits it high in the air, deep right center field. That ball's gone! 317! Salvador Perez ties George Brett for the most home runs in franchise history. George Brett has held the franchise's home run record all by himself for 40 years. No longer alone at the top. El Capitan is at the list with him. 317 home runs and a well-deserved curtain call.
Welcome back to the show. Thanks to Joe Valerio for joining us. Once again, yesterday, Salvador Perez hits home run number 317. That ties him with George Brett for most home runs in Royals history. And the Royals won the game 5-4. How about that? After the game, Salvi spoke with Bridget Howard on the field. Here's what Salvi had to say after tying George Brett for the Royals' all-time home run lead.
Salvi hit 3 home runs on this homestand, all of them 2-run shots, and so he ties the franchise mark at home. He's down on the field with Bridget.
It's okay. I'll take the Salvi splash today, Salvi.
Today.
I'll do it for you, Salvi. You've officially done it. And you're going to get a Salvi splash here.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Only for you, Salvi.
Thank you.
You've officially done it. You have tied the Royals franchise record for all-time home runs. What was going through your mind as you were rounding the bases?
Super excited. First, I want to thank God for the opportunity. Thank my family, my teammates, the fans. Thank you for coming and supporting me this many years. So I appreciate that, guys. Super happy. And the most important thing that we win today.
I know that has been your message all along. Winning has been most important to you. So to do this in front of the home crowd, getting a win, back-to-back series wins, how do you describe it? What does that mean?
Amazing. Super happy. I'm super excited right now, guys. Sorry. Thank you for the support. I was good today.
Your name is now alongside George Brett's in the franchise record books. What does that, how special is that to you? What does it mean to have your name alongside his?
Everybody know what George Brett doing here in this city. So it's kind of good that you be around a Hall of Fame. So super excited too.
Salvi, you mentioned it earlier, doing this in front of the home crowd, in front of your family, getting a win. How do you describe your relationship with Kansas City, this fan base, and how they have all fueled you throughout your career here in Kansas City?
My second home. Thank you for the support, guys. I love you guys. God bless you.
Congratulations, Salvi. What a day.
Thank you.
That is the Royals' all-time leader in home runs, Salvador Perez.
That was awesome. You see the guy that jumped in the fountain to get the ball, got arrested?
Yeah. Well.
And then let go?
Look, can't be doing that.
Salvi asked the police to let him go.
And look, I think the worst part about it all is he didn't get to keep the ball.
Can you play the clip that I sent you?
I don't know.
Can you? Or will you? I like the fact that Salvi campaigned for his release. Salvi utilized his platform to ask the police to let him go. I think he'd already been let go. I mean, you're not going to keep the ball. You know you're going to get arrested.
Well, should have had a better plan. Should have had a better plan.
What should the plan have been?
Throw it to somebody while you're in the water and have them take off. I mean, you had a bad plan. You got the ball taken away.
So they didn't even let him keep the ball.
No. He was met, when he got out of the fountains, he was met by an officer of the law, a copper. And then someone from the Royals took the ball away from him. So he was handcuffed. Trying to pull that up.
Or at least Salvi mentioned him in the post-game interview.
We'll hear that in its entirety right after the top of the hour.
Play the breaking news sounder. Nate Bucades has posted another highlight reel featuring himself prominently in the World Cup, which, if you don't know, took place the past several weeks in Kansas City. So you had mentioned to let you know if he posted any more videos. He just posted a full highlight reel.
Oh, yeah?
Of him doing a bunch of stuff. So
that's the first one in a while, huh?
No, there's been a lot.
Oh.
There's been pretty much one every day. So, but you had mentioned, hey, if he has any more, let me know.
I did say that.
So I just did.
Said, please let me know.
Well, there. I'm not going to watch it.
Did Kansas City a favor. Here we go.
I did my job.
Here's what you're asking for.
A fan jumped in the fountains and left in handcuffs trying to get your ball today.
Oh, please. Yeah. Please, police. Just take care of the jail, please. Okay? And send him home. If I was saying, I maybe jumped up and try to get that ball. So please, and thank you for the hard work and try to get that ball.
Use a blare.
I don't get it yet. We got
I
it.
think they got it back.
Oh, you
him
got it
to
back?
give to you. Yeah.
I
So,
hear that he threw it to somebody, to his friend or something like that.
I think they took it from
Yeah,
him.
okay.
Yeah.
So we tried what you said. Didn't work.
Well, poor execution then.
Salvi said, "Police, please let him go." Salvi thanked him for his hard work in trying to get the ball. And Salvi also said that maybe if he was out there, he would have tried to jump in the fountain.
Sure he would have. Hey, I respect the move.
Very
Dangerous.
Oh,
no one should be doing it.
I don't think anyone needs to do that.
No.
Remember the drunk lady got in the fountain?
Yeah, she was dancing.
Well, this guy had a Salvi jersey on, so you know he's a true fan.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to the drunk lady? She got in that fountain, and that was a big news.
She got
That was a
fined
big story.
and did her time, and
Stay out of the fountains. That water's filthy.
Yeah, you should probably.
You get that diarrhea bug in there, I bet.
I don't think so.
You can.
No.
People are getting to swimming now.
No, they're not.
Oh, yes. Have you not seen that? You haven't seen that story? And by the way,
I don't believe
guess
it.
where it is now? Johnson County.
Yeah.
It's all over Johnson County now. Thanks a lot, Jake.
No, my friend's wife had it. Got it in Mexico.
And brought it back to Kansas City.
No.
How long did she have it for?
Wow.
Ooh.
He's a loyal listener. I'm not going to out him. But
Sounds like you just did.
Sure he's listening. No. Nobody knows any idea who I'm talking about.
I know exactly who you're talking about.
No, you do not.
We'll take a break. Stay out of the fountain. By the way.
Yeah.
We'll be right back after this on WHB.